And welcome back, everyone. Excuse me, to the Pokemon Team Creation Series. From CJM, we got Dean Winchester. Obviously, I'll do Sam Winchester at some point from Supernatural, a show that I hadn't watched for many years, even when it was on. Seen an episode here or there. I was aware of the show, but eventually, me and my girlfriend was like, "Okay, let's try watching this." I'm like, "Okay, we're watching this," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm hooked. I love this show. We have only watched the first 5 seasons, the original 5, where it was supposed to end, and then we started with season 6. But I believe that's how it went. Like the first 5 were like that. That was it. It was supposed to end at 5, and then people kept the ratings were too good. The actors still wanted to keep coming back, so they figured out more story and went on for another 10 seasons. But yeah, we kind of like trailed off for a little bit. We'll get back to it at some point. But look, who doesn't love for fans of the show? Who doesn't love this show? And it's really about the characters. I mean, you get the supernatural elements, and that's fun. But it's about going on these day-to-day journeys with these characters, doing their job of protecting people from the things they don't know exist. And Dean Winchester, one of those great characters. I love, Jason Padalecki, is that his name? Hold on, Dean Winchester. I'm just gonna look it up right now. Dean Winchester. Is it Jason Padalecki? Played by what's the actor's name? Portrayed by actor. Come on, where's his name? I know it's Jason Padalecki, and then I think Padalecki's actually Sam, right? Let's see, actor. Hold on. Oh, there you go, actor. Jensen Ackles. Sorry, Jensen Ackles is Dean. Jason Padalecki is Sam. I knew Jensen Ackles. Love Jensen Ackles, man. And the bits of the boys that I've watched, I've seen with Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy's really good too. I like him as Soldier. I like him as an actor. He also voiced Red Hood in Under the Red Hood. I love him. So, building a team for Dean Winchester, that's an interesting prospect because there's a lot of things that can go into him. So let's get into it. I combined it in the sense of, as always, it's a character thing. If they have abilities, try to translate those abilities. But also, if they have a trade, if they have a craft, try to translate that into a Pokemon team. And what do Sam and Dean do? They hunt monsters. They exercise spirits. They do all these things. So I thought, what would a Monster Hunters team to some degree look like in that regard? Adding, of course, some of the other traits of Dean Winchester that we'll talk about in a little bit. I think, well, first and foremost, what do Dean and Sam carry on them at all times? Salt. Salt is universally one of the best things you can have to ward off against demons, ghosts, ghouls, anything to keep them at bay. Salt Circle will keep them in line, keep them out of there so long as they don't break the circle or you step out of it. And so, luckily for us, we do have, in fact, a Salt Pokemon. And that would be, obviously, Garganacl. Now, there's also the Knackle line. I actually am completely Knackle Stack, but the Garganacl. I think the majority, if not all the Mon on his team would be evolved because his dad would have stressed him. It's like, look, son, we need to be at our best. So evolve, you got to train those guys to the max. And so, yeah, Dean would have a Garganacl on his team because it's a Pokemon that literally can just sprinkle salt from its finger if it wants. Perfect. But look, you can't talk about Dean without talking about his baby. Without talking about the Chevy Impala. Now, I had one idea for that, and I went with Koraidon for that. One, legendary Pokemon. They've had legendary items like the Colt before, multiple weapons. So, and Koraidon is a Pokemon you can actually ride. So that made sense to me. Beyond that, Dean and Sam have also used a lot of different like potions, chemicals, things along those lines that are poisonous to certain Mon. And this leans a little bit towards an aspect of something else they usually have on them. Silver. I didn't think there was one, but I checked and I was right. There is no silver-based Pokemon. We only just got a gold-based one in Golden Go. We do not have a silver-based Pokemon, so I couldn't do the general type of silver for the team, because you'd have silver bullets, silver shape, whatever. But what I can do is combine the aspects of his car with the aspects of what Silver is supposed to do for some of these creatures being poisonous, and go with Revavroom. Revavroom, a poison seal type, has the body actually of I mean, technically the Pokemon itself is just the quote-unquote engine, but it's still able to manipulate those rock-like bodies no problem. And it is shaped like a car, so it makes sense. Koraidon, because, as we'll get to a little bit later, there's an aspect of Dean that I think really lends itself to having a legendary or two on the team. But then Revavroom, because it isn't actually a car. And you can ride, technically, both of them. Then there is the idea of the fact that I wanted something to represent the idea that these guys can exorcise demons. They are immune. They are exorcise spirits, exorcise demons. However you want to define it. But beyond that too, Dean has held the Mark of Cain before, and so that is something that is a dark corruption. That if you die, quote unquote die, you will come back as a demon. And Dean did that happened to Dean for a while. Even though I have not gotten to those seasons yet, I'm aware of those plot points. So I'm like, okay, how the hell do I represent exorcism? And I mean, there isn't even. That would be cool if there was an attack called exorcism. We might get that at some point, where a certain Pokemon going up against a ghost type can basically just make a ghost type return to their owner's Pokeball or something like that. It's like a type specific roar. Maybe it also prevents them from using ghost type moves. Who knows? So I'm like, okay, against spirits, against ghost types, the only strong types are Ghost and Dark. Normal is immune to Ghosts, but that doesn't really work here. So, because Dean's not immune to Ghosts. So, I want something that's strong against Ghosts. And Dean, while has died a couple times, and is dead by the end of the series, I don't want to use a Ghost type, so I want to use a Dark type. Okay. But is there anything else about Dean I can use? Because Dark would also represent the Mark of Cain side of Dean. And then I'm looking through the Dark types I can go with. I'm like, no. Wait. There is other aspect that can combine into this. And so, Morpeko. Now, why Morpeko? One, it's a Dark type. So, it represents the idea that it's strong against ghosts. It can also represent the fact that he's got the Mark of Cain and it's got his hangry form. But Dean is also always snacking. He loves his junk food. He loves his snacks. And what is Morpeko but constantly hungry, constantly having little seeds in his pockets, which Dean would be having in his coat pockets, probably like a candy bar or something. And when he runs out of food, he goes into his hangry form. And so that, I think, actually works well to represent Dean in this case. Another one to represent him is Honedge. Now, Honedge is really... He just carries weapons and tools on him at all times. I think that just makes sense to have a Honedge. A spirit, a possessed sword makes sense. Because they have worked with spirits before too. Not all spirits are evil, and they've aided the Winchesters in the past. They do have cursed or magical objects they can go towards if they really, really need them or when they find them. So a Honedge would make sense. But last but not least, the thing that struck me really with this is the dichotomy between Sam and Dean. The brothers, while they love each other and work well together, are also at odds a lot of times because of how they view how things should kind of go down. Sam is a lot more idealistic, whereas Dean is a lot more looking at the hard facts a lot of the time and kind of more willing to do what is needed. And then Sam's kind of a bit more easily corruptible, if we're going to be honest. Dean resists a bit more, but ultimately he went to hell, lasted for about 30 years, and basically had to say, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'll serve whatever. But beyond that, we also have the fact that they are the chosen vessels for two archangels, Lucifer and Michael. And luckily, we do have that relationship. Now, spoilers... The other one of this pair is going to make it on to Sam whenever I get around to doing Sam. But Reshiram of the two dragons, and I know this off the top of my head now because I just did Zekrom for Joey. Zekrom sided with the brother of ideals, whereas Reshiram sided with the brother of truth. With Sam is the more idealistic. He's the more what's the best way to put it? He's the more innocent, I guess you could say, and naive, at least at the beginning of the series. And probably throughout the series, he's the one who has more faith in humanity and others than, say, Dean does. Whereas Dean is, again, a bit more of the cold, hard facts kind of guy. And just like, look, it's the mission. We have to do this. That doesn't mean I like it. Let me be very clear, but we got to do this, Sam. Add on to the fact that they both are, and he did become possessed by Michael for a time in the series. I know that. It became, you have Samifer, and you have, I think it's Denikel. I think they call it Denikel. is the term they use for the combination of the two. And so, yeah, this would make sense that he'd have another legendary on his team, because his car is a legendary beast. So, Koraidon. Now, to be fair, Koraidon probably is usually only like his main ride, like when he's in the Pokemon world. He can fight with Koraidon if he needs to. He just can't fight while riding on Koraidon. But yeah, I think that, and plus, Reshiram between the two looks a lot more angelic, like what the traditional angel would look like, compared to Zekrom, who is obviously the black one, who looks a bit more malevolent, looks a bit more evil comparatively, which Lucifer hypothetically would. So that works out well too. So that is the team I got for Dean. He's got Honedge, Garganackle, Vavaroom, and Morpeko for the actual, let's quote-unquote, demon monster hunting. Koraidon also doubles as a reference to his car, as does Vavaroom. Morpeko also doubles up for his love of food, and the fact that he had the Markicade at one point. And Reshiram is his opposition to his brother's principles to sometimes, as well as reference to Michael, the angel who is there to take over his body and fight Lucifer at the end. Now, that being said, as always, how balanced is this team? And when I went over it, this team actually is pretty well balanced. There's only really 3 main types that really give this team a bit of a problem. Not even 3. Technically 2. Because they do work on at least half the team. So one of the types that gives this team a lot of problems is ground types. Rock, steel, and poison. That's a quad weak to ground. Its only actual weakness is ground. So Morpeko's got a problem because Morpeko doesn't really have the strongest stats. And Reshiram, despite being a legendary dragon, is still going to get hit neutrally by ground and electric types. The electric type is still going to be weak to ground. So ground is a problem right out the gate for this typing. Also, though, fairy is a problem because, again, fairy's completely immune to dragon. It's also strong against fighting, which means Koraidon's got a problem. And Morpeko, being a dark type, also has a problem with fairies. So you do have that issue as well. Some other types that are still problematic but lesser. Fire type is a problem for the 2 guys in the middle there, Honedge and Vavaroom, because of the steel typing. And fighting types are a problem because actually, did I already do fighting types? I think I already did fighting types, didn't I? No, I didn't say fighting types. Fighting types is a problem for half of these guys as well, because Garganackle's a rock type, Vavaroom's a steel type. Its poison type does help resist fighting, but it's still got problems with fighting because of the steel. And then you got Morpeko, who, again, dark type, weak to fighting. So this team definitely has some weaknesses to it, which would make sense, because Dean himself has weaknesses to him. So, because he's not perfect. He's human. He's a legendary hunter, sure, and he's good at it, but he's not infallible by any stretch of the means. We know these guys can make mistakes. So this makes sense that the team, while powerful and having some heavy hitters on the team, could still be taken out by the right opponent. And so, that is the end. That is my thought for the Pokemon team of, there he is, a Pokemon team of Dean Winchester. What do you think of this team? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you change about it if you would change anything about it? Would you do a completely different team? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks for the next one. Have a good one.